Hi, I'm Johnny J with a tribe called Geek, and hi, Amber.
Hi.
Oh, so excited to talk with you because this movie is awesome and wow. So my first question would be, this is such a physically demanding movie. Could you tell me a little more about what it took for you to kind of get in the physical shape for the role, and also like what are some of the mental challenges that
Hmm.
go behind getting physically ready?
Yeah, that, we had a training camp that we did where we learned like archery, and obviously I had the tomahawk and knives and spears and stuff like that. But like you said, there's also kind of nothing that can prepare you for like 5 months of the kind of endurance that this really was. So to like show up every single day and like we watched like the seasons change, like making this movie. So I don't know, like going to work and being like, okay, today you're gonna get thrown in glacial water. By the way, it's a river, like stuff like that, or being like, I don't know, or like the mud pit. Just like there were so many things that it's like we also have like personal trainers and like stunts and stuff, but it's like there's also things that you just can't prepare for. But definitely like the mental endurance and like um being present and aware and kind of getting through that way was a huge part of making this movie. And also being there, it was like COVID and the country was closed and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, that was definitely like a huge aspect of making this movie and kind of filmmaking in general.
Yeah, and kind of like along the same vein, like there was, for a Predator movie, there was a lot of emotion and, like I don't know, like there was just so much emotion in this movie right alongside the action. And, I know a lot of times when you're dealing with action, like how do you stay, in that emotional headspace?
Mm-hmm. It's, to me, that was always what the movie was about. Like when I had auditioned for the movie, first of all, it was like early 2020, like pre-pandemic, and I had no idea that this was a Predator movie. All that I knew was that it was a movie about a Comanche woman who wants to be a hunter. So to me, that was always the story. And then later I found out, like, oh, by the way, it's a Predator movie. And I was like, what? So I didn't know. And that was always like where that lived. I feel like Dan was really great about kind of leading that as well, and always everybody staying in the space, because also it was such a long shoot. So to shoot over that much time, he was great at grounding everyone in like, okay, and then this is this point in the story, and this is this movie. And personally, I think action is always more interesting when it's grounded in some kind of narrative or some kind of story. Like I find that action for the sake of action, if it's amazing, can be very impressive, but can get old eventually. Whereas like when it serves a purpose or it shows something for someone, that's when you really get invested. So that was, I think, definitely a focus for us.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really expecting for it to be so emotionally charged,
Mm.
like for that story to really be there. Cause, Predator movies, it's all about the action. So, I was really caught off guard. But what were some of the challenges in learning the Comanche language?
I mean, that's a hard language. I don't like, I'm Assiniboine Sioux. I'm Lakota, Nakota, and Dakota, and I grew up mostly with Lakota language in my house. So I'm familiar with that, but that's not anything close to Comanche. So that was definitely its own challenge, was showing up. And the first time that they gave us Comanche was the test audition. So we had scenes in English and we had the exact same scene in Comanche. And we had to learn it then, because even at that time, they didn't know if they were going to shoot the movie in Comanche or English. So they wanted to know that we could do both. So even just that in itself was like a wild element to this. And we got to the point where it was like, just, which thankfully Dan was, and Jane, of course, but Dan was very thoughtful about like trying to incorporate as much Comanche as possible. So we got to a point where it was like, oh, hey, we're going to change this line to Comanche, or hey, we think we're going to figure out something for you to say. But of course, like, I don't speak that language. So it was very much like Jane would come to me and be like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. And I was like, okay. And I would like try to learn it. And then, but it was also really cool, like the getting that opportunity to like work with, especially in the dubbing, like getting to learn Comanche with actual Comanche speakers who are spending their lives preserving their language, felt like a really amazing opportunity. So to learn that, and also like, gave me inspiration and motivation to like learn even more of my language. So that experience was really meaningful.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was incredible. I lived in Comanche Nation, so hearing the language spoken in a movie was kind of exciting. But also, one of the things that was really exciting was the fact that you were taking on this very tenacious role as a Native woman. And that's not something that we really see in film. We're usually the victim. And so to see, somebody playing this character that was a warrior and, you know, and courageous and brave and just knew, and there wasn't a love story, that
Yeah,
was driving the character or being put in the way, that was incredible. But what was that like for you to be able to play one of those roles where you get to be just like a fully embodied Native woman?
man, I'm so proud that that exists at all. Like, no matter who was going to play that role, I was excited to know that that existed. And then taking that on, there was definitely a lot of pressure involved in that too, because it's such a big deal that like I didn't also want to be the person to mess it up. But having that means the world to me, like for Native women to be able to look at something and go like, damn, I can be that strong. Like I can do, like Naru at one point, is like, after being told so many times, like, no, just be a healer, just be a healer, like watches all these women going, kind of has a key moment where she like makes a choice, like, no, I'm going to do what I want to do. Like, I'm going to do this the way that I feel is right, and makes that choice. And like to show Native women like, hey, you have that same agency over your life to like make choices and like do whatever you want to do, is like so amazing that we have something now to look at and go like, wow, we have like interesting characters with like different personalities and social dynamics, and that kind of representation is just like so important and like unreal. And I think it's cool that it happened in the form of like a Predator movie, which is a very unexpected place for that much meaning to happen. But it's, to me, it's there, and I really feel it there. And I think that there, we took it, we screened it at the Comanche Nation in Oklahoma, where our producer Jane Myers is from. And some of the stuff that the audience had to say about it, which was obviously entirely Comanche people, like made me so emotional. Like there was a kid there who was like, they were like, what did you get out of this movie? And he raised his hand and he was like, and he goes like, resourceful, and like, that you can do anything and that nothing is impossible. And I was like crying in the audience, because that's like my dream, is to like hear a res kid say that stuff about our movie. I was like, I'm gonna cry right now. I'm done talking about it.
Well, thank you so much for your time. And congratulations on this movie. And I'm really excited for everyone else to see it as well.
Thank you so much. It's really nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you.